Legal structure for economic development. Legal structures. From this week's reading, the following legal structures for economic development are considered. Native model. In the native model, elected officials, chief and council, were in charge of community businesses. As you can imagine, this led to highly politicized decision-making and massive upheavals when new officials were elected. This was a tough model to maintain since regular upheavals made it difficult to attract investors. Economic Development Corporation. The Economic Development Corporation is probably the most common model encountered today amongst First Nation communities, since it places management of economic development activities at arm's length from politics. The community acts as shareholders in the corporation, which serves the goal of the local community according to mandates outlined in the Comprehensive Community Plan, CCP. Normally, the Economic Development Corporation is set up as a non-profit, which provides exemption from income tax. Modern model. The modern model outlined in your reading this week is a hybrid of the native model and the Economic Development Corporation. Some of the directors on the board of the Economic Development Corporation are appointed by the elected council, and some are elected by the First Nations band members. Normally, the length of the appointment of board directors is limited to a specific number of years. Since the Development Corporation is still owned by the band members, it is still tax exempt. Alternative model. Authors of your reading this week suggest an alternative model based on the industrial cooperatives of Mondragon, Spain. In this alternative model, workers own their own businesses, and the goal is to provide income and prosperity to the community, rather than focusing on making money as an end result. Each member in the cooperative votes to elect a board of directors, which then employs a manager to carry out day-to-day activities of the business. A social council is elected to work with management on health, safety, and working condition concerns. Communities affiliated with these co-ops receive 10% of the annual profits of the co-op. The co-ops themselves retain 40% of profits for the good of the organization, and 40% goes to the workers' owners, with the remaining 10% allocated to venture capital for new development. Conclusion. The practice of structuring economic development so that it works for a particular community is individualistic and evolving. Each community has its own concerns and existing systems and cultural elements that need accommodation. What is clear is that a structured approach with community involvement should be implemented, with assurance that the economic development entity can operate separate from any political concerns.